two girls taking a chance.
Hello, everyone. Well, good evening. Today is Monday. Wow, November the 7th. Now, tomorrow is election. Make sure you go out and vote. That's the first thing I want to make sure I say. So I don't miss that opportunity to encourage those who have not yet voted to go out and vote. This is your show host, Maxine Pearl Phillips McKoy, coming to you and talking to you about life strategies. That's right, life strategies. You know, our guests that come on, they share platinum nuggets with us to help us to understand the strategies that they have put in place that has helped them to achieve the success as of today. Now, level less. Level less is all about empowering individuals to build a career that provides for them to have the lifestyle that they desire. And levelless is about changing your mindset, a shift in the mindset so that you know your worth, that you put strategies in place so that you can succeed, and that you know the strengths that you're bringing to the table and you're able to stand up, stand out, and make a difference. Go ahead, tag someone, let them know that the Life Strategy Show is live and we're going to be talking about diabetes. November is diabetes month, and I want to bring forth listen, it can be a silent killer, but it does not need to be. So, I want to talk about several things when it comes to diabetes. And I want you to talk back. That's right. I want you to ask questions. I want you to share stories. I want you to tell me if you are currently living with and managing your diabetes. What is it? Type 1, type 2, or maybe some expecting mothers might have gestational diabetes. And there's such a thing as pre-diabetes. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then I want to share a story with you about me being the caretaker. Now, diabetes come in a lot of different ways, like I just mentioned, those four particular areas. But I'll talk about my type 2 diabetes and the onset of it. But the whole thing of it is, I have diabetes, but diabetes does not have me. So it's the mindset that you have about it and the actions that you take in order to take control of it. And that's exactly what I was able to do. So, when we start talking about diabetes, what is it? How does it come about? What are some of the statistics? Well, diabetes is where the body manufactures insulin in what? The pancreas. Does it produce enough or is it not producing enough? Now, type 1 diabetes is when it's insulin dependent, and that's when the body is no longer producing insulin from the pancreas in order for the food that you eat convert it into energy so you can be able to what? Have activities, do the things that you need to do, and so forth. Type 2 diabetes can be an onset from stress. It could be, yes, the lifestyle that we have. It could be hereditary. So there's so many different ways that you can get type 2 diabetes. But one thing about type 2 diabetes is that it could become insulin dependent. It does not always end up insulin dependent. And you can take medication, oral medication, or you can take the insulin, which is an injection. And you have the ability to manage the type 2 diabetes with your food and with exercise. And so that's another way of taking control of your diabetes. Then we have pre-diabetes. Now, the ADA, which is American Diabetes Association, they have a range in which they want the what we call your A1C, and that's your glucose readings. That when you take a blood sample, it gives you a particular reading as the impact the food is having on your body. And can the pancreas produce enough insulin in order to convert that food into energy? Now, majority of the diseases the ADA states that they want your they want your glucose level to be under a certain managed, is controlled, and that's the standard rating. If it gets up to a 6.4 or higher, you are considered a diabetic. And the higher it gets, then the worse it and the havoc it can have on the body. Now, one of the things I want you to take into consideration when it comes to diabetes is the fact that what are some of the warning signs? Because we need to know that. We need to know that not only for those who living with it, but what about someone who's pre-diabetic? If you start paying attention to the warning signs, then you can take control and to help ensure that it does not go into full-blown diabetes. And some of the warning signs, like I had to be aware of, is constant thirst. You cannot seem to get enough fluids. But see, there's a caveat to this. You must make sure that you're drinking the right fluids. So if you have a desire and that thirst is constantly there, don't reach for sweet tea. Don't reach for a soda. Do not reach for sugary juices or anything that has a lot of sugar in it. Instead, reach for water. Help flush the sugar levels out of the body because that's what the body needs. The other thing about it is that not only the thirst, but you're constantly going to the bathroom for urination. You cannot seem to stop. By the time you get up, it's time to go back. That's an indicator that the blood glucose levels are very high. Now, if you're the type of person who's taking your glucose readings, now you start taking it and you see they're 200, 300, 400, 500. You don't want them to get higher than 4 and 500. You need to get to the hospital immediately because guess what? The body can shut down. Your organs can literally shut down when your glucose readings are entirely too high, and vice versa. When your glucose readings are too low, your body can also shut down. And that's where it started going into ketose acidosis. That means that the body is using your fat, your muscles, in order to convert into energy because the body is not producing enough insulin. Yes. Oh, thank you. Miss Robinson is listening. Yes. I want to chime in because I know you have that medical background as well. So share when I'm speaking, share with some of the stories that you have and you are aware of as well. So this is an interaction. I want us to be engaged tonight and you all share situations with me. If you have a family member that's currently living with diabetes, how are they managing it? What are some of the strategies that they have in place? And yes, Elizabeth McNeil is also here. Thank you, Elizabeth, with the love. I'm going to be having, and Janet, oh man, I've been watching Janet. I've been watching you, lady, and all of those foods that you're cooking and how you've taken your diabetes and you've gotten it under control. So I want you all to share some stories with me. So definitely go on and start typing a lot of great information. You say your 14-year-old had skin discoloration around the neck and turned out to be pre-diabetes. I love the fact that you put around the neck because when I was expecting with my last child, my neck turned so dark, and it was almost like a blue black. They never diagnosed me as being diabetic, but now that I go back and I look at all the symptoms and everything that I was having, I definitely was probably gestational diabetes, because with gestational diabetes you have a tendency to have those large babies, and I had a 9 pound 4 ounce baby girl, and that's an indication of that you very well could end up being full blown type 2 diabetes. So thank you, Janet, for sharing that with me. And Elizabeth has been on the show before, and she has done some phenomenal cooking for us. And we're going to have her back so she can do some more cooking so that we can understand how do we make these delicious dish that we can still have and enjoy and don't feel like we're giving up everything. We don't need to give up everything that we enjoy eating. We just need to modify the ingredients in which we are going to be using in order to manage our diabetes or our lifestyle. So what I'm talking about tonight, I'm using diabetes as the platform. My mother had it. My sister had it. My husband, my first husband, died from it. I've been diagnosed with it back in 2008. But the whole thing about it is that all of us are susceptible. It could be family history. It could be your DNA. It could be your lifestyle. It could be that you're under a lot of stress. My own set came from I was a little overweight, but I was under tremendous stress, tremendous stress. And therefore, you're not paying attention to your own diet. You're not taking care of yourself. But once I became aware, then I started doing all the research in order to take control. So that's one of the reasons you see on my website that's called Our Diabetes Coach. It talks about I have diabetes, but diabetes does not have me. And that's because I want you to take control of it. I want you to be in control of what you eat, how often you eat. Take your readings, go to the doctor, talk to the doctor, make notes in a journal so that when you go to the doctor, you have pointed questions that you can ask the doctor, that you can have that dialogue with the doctor. Now, if some of you were like me when they diagnosed me as having type 2 diabetes, the first thing, there were two things they said to me: lose weight, and we're going to write your prescription for metformin. How many of you probably heard that same instructions? Or did you get any instructions? Maybe that should be the question. Did they give you any instructions? Because some of the individuals I've talked to when I'm talking about diabetes accountability, they said, hey, they told me I had it and they just sent me on my merry way with a prescription. Now, if you're like me, yes, the prescription works for some and it does not work for everyone. So there is not a one size fits all. What I want you to do tonight, I want you to start documenting things about your body, how your body is reacting to foods, certain foods. Make a list of what you ate for breakfast, how much of it that you ate. And if you're taking your glucose readings, then make a note as to at 2 hours after you eat, what was your glucose reading? That's critical that you know that, but it has to be 2 hours after you eat. That's when the body has had an opportunity to digest the food that you ate and have an impact on your blood. That way we'll know exactly what the reading is. And it gives you a marker. That marker helps the doctors to understand what's your A1C. And A1C is your average glucose reading with a marker. That's a 2 to 3 month period. And so if you take it daily, then you have an idea, but the doctor really gets the numbers, wants you to do the blood work in the lab. Let's see if we have any other questions. Okay, not no questions, any comments. Come on, y'all, share with me. Make sure that you let others know that we're here talking about diabetes. Take control. But the information that we're sharing is for anyone, whether you're a diabetic or not. It's a lifestyle change that we must make. Now, when I was diagnosed with the type 2 and they gave me the prescription, I took the medication, but the medication did not like my body. Hear me out. The medication did not like my body. I started going blind. I could not see. I was sick. I could not hardly get out of my bed. And if I did, I crawled to the sofa and I stayed there all day. So, was the medication had to work for my body, or did I need to make a mindset change and change my eating habits, change my lifestyle, change and look at portion controls, look at how much fluid the intake and type of fluids. So that's what I had to do. I had to put a program in place for my body. And that's one of the reasons why I said, let's talk about your body type. Everybody's body is not the same, although we're all humans, right? We know we have a circulatory, the blood system, the brain, and all of that, but everybody is not the same. So, why do doctors give many of us the same medication? Because we're diabetic, but we might need a modification. And so, therefore, I want you to take this statement and write it down. Know your body better than your doctor. Be an advocate for your body. Know what works, know the symptoms. I'm not saying don't go to the doctor. I'm not saying don't do what the doctor is asking you to do. But what I am saying is make a journal, make a note of what it is that you need. My brother had his doctor told him those same words. I worked with him to lose the weight through a food plan. That's right, Elizabeth. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You must know your body and put a strategy in place. Elizabeth just gave us a strategy, a food plan. And that's what I had to end up doing back in 2014 and 15 because I started getting so sick. I didn't know what was causing it, but I had to literally journal all the foods that I was eating. And come to find out, I'm allergic to preservatives, nitrate, sulfates, all of that. But see, if you don't keep a food journal on what you're eating and how much of it you're eating and how often you eat it, you're not going to know what's causing your body to go through the transformation it's going through or to reject what the foods or to have an impact, whether it's good or negative, on what you ate. So I love that. So have to learn about yourself. Type 2 is definitely reversible. Come on, Janet, say it again. Type 2 is definitely reversible. If you do the work and learn about yourself and change your diet. Hey, I am there with you. I'm in 100% agreement. And I know for a fact I have watched Janet and her husband make the transformation. And they have been, my husband has not been on medication for years. I have not been on medication, I think, for diabetes since 2016. So you can manage it through your diet. You can manage it through your exercising. Now, listen, I'm a first to tell you, I am not that king about exercising. But what I will tell you though, you put me in front of a TV or you put me in front of some music and I can dance, I'll dance my exercising. But if you're going to have me to get on the floor and try to exercise, that's not going to work. So remember what I said, know your body and know what it is that you're going to do because the whole objective is to what? Move. You got to move. You can't just be sitting all day and not move. And while you're sitting, you can move your arms. You can move your legs. You can still do some movement and do some exercises. And remember, you have your water bottles, right? So you can take 2 water bottles and use it as your weights. So just because you can't get up and go to a health club or because you can't get on the floor to exercise, there's other ways to do it. It's called modifications. So we're gonna bring Body by Ella Fit on in about a week, and she's gonna be talking to us about how can we exercise if we're not the kind of person who wants to go to a health club or get on the floor. And this woman, when she comes, let me tell you what. Ooh, did she lose probably over 100 and some pounds? She's had several knee surgeries, and the woman is still physically fit because she knows her body and she helped others get to know their body. So listen, y'all are banging it tonight. That's right. That's right. Exercise, movement, intentionally with purpose. With purpose. Let me tell you what. Everybody needs you cannot get up and get down on the floor. So you must do things that's going to be modified, that's going to help you. Now, we talked about the different stages of diabetes. Now, one of the ladies, this gestational diabetes, please take it seriously if you're expecting. Don't overlook and don't think because I'm eating for two that I can eat whatever I want. Still watch how you're eating and your intake, because not only are you going to gain the pounds, but it also can cause you to become full blown diabetic after you have the baby. And see, I didn't realize that that 9 pound, 4 ounce baby, I thought I had done something and it was a lot of work, but I thought I had done something having this big baby, right? No, it's not worth having a big baby. They can grow and increase in size after they're here on this earth. But yeah, but I didn't realize I was putting my body at risk and my health at risk of becoming a type 2 diabetic. And the other thing I had that was against me is that my mother was a diabetic, my sister was a diabetic, so some genes were already there. So take into consideration, know about your history of your family already, so you can have an indication as to whether or not what's going on in the family, not just diabetes, but all the other illnesses that come along. Now, what are some of the complications when we don't take control of diabetes, or we don't take control of our eating? We have eye problems. We could go blind. You have high blood pressure. And when you go to your eye doctor and they look in the back of your eyes, they can see the veins. They can see whether or not all that pressure has been back there. They can tell you whether or not your diabetes has been high and it's affecting your vision. And in some instances, that your vision changes during the day depending on how much you eat. My vision change if my diabetes drops too low. I can start looking like I'm squinting, trying to figure out like I'm trying to read, and things become blurry. And the same thing, if you eat too much and your glucose level goes too high, it can also affect your vision. All right. What about your kidneys? Come on now. Dialysis can happen. You can have too much protein in your kidneys. And so you can also have ketoacidosis, which is again, that's where you got too much of this ketose that's being released from the body and it expels from the kidneys. So your doctor will be able to evaluate that. Ketoacidosis is very serious. Again, that's where the body is using your muscles in order to convert the food that you've eaten or to give you energy. So if you do not eat and eat properly, the body is going to get it. It's going to take it from other, your muscles, and you don't want to lose muscle mass. My first husband died from ketoacidosis. And so that's not something that you want to happen. His blood sugars were entirely too high. And, you have to make a choice when you're on medication. And that choice is to take the medication and to take it properly and during the time frame. So that's why you have to know your body. You have to work with your doctors, and everything will work together. So that's another thing about eating right. Now, when I had to go through this lifestyle change and trying to understand, how do I eat for my body? How do I eat for my body? Oh, yes, there are a lot of different diets out here. But ladies and gentlemen, every diet is not for everybody. There is no one size fits all. You need to understand what makes your body work. You need to pay attention to your energy level. You need to make sure that when you go to the doctor, you have them to do a full blood panel on you. So that way you can So you know all your vitamins, where they are. Are they within range? Are they too low? Are they too high? You need to understand what is a great multiple vitamin to take so that you're getting that 100% of those vitamins that you need. And you're not taking too many of one type of vitamin and not enough of another type. So I always say keep an Excel spreadsheet. This is the platinum nugget right here. Keep an Excel spreadsheet on the vitamins that you're taking and make a list of the vitamin itself and the percent of the milligrams, the mcg, the mg, and how many of them you're taking, how often you're taking it. So you can start looking at what is the recommended dosage, what is the recommended amount, so you're not over putting too many, saturating your body, because too many vitamins can also cause a problem as well as not enough. Your calcium levels are too low, your iron is too low, but then you're taking an iron tablet, a vitamin with iron, you're eating a lot of iron, so you might be overdoing the iron. So that's just an example. So it's very important that you understand and you make a list of what it is that you're taking and have that conversation with your doctor. So when a doctor does a blood panel on you, do a comparison. What are you taking and what are the results of the blood work? And then you can see what modifications you need to take and you need to make. All right, ladies, are you all out there taking vitamins? And are you getting a lot of your vitamins through your foods and your vegetables? Are you juicing? Juicing is a way to get all of that great vitamins in. You got vegetables you can put in the juice, you got the fruits you can put in the juice, you can put nuts in the juice, you can put your calcium in the juice. And many times, because my vitamins are water soluble, I'll put my vitamin in my smoothie. And therefore, I'm drinking my vitamin and it goes directly into the bloodstream faster, opposed to sitting on my stomach and in my stomach and having to, digest. So that's just another quick strategy to use. Now, what about water and fluid intake when it comes to this type 2 diabetes? When I was diagnosed, I realized that I could not seem to get enough to drink. Not only was I going to the bathroom, urinating, but I couldn't get enough to drink. But guess what? I was drinking the wrong things. I love that sweet tea. I love my sodas. I love my lemonade. But guess what? All of that was sugar on top of sugar on top of sugar. And the body was just, it was going crazy because my blood sugars were entirely too high. My A1C in 2011, I think it was like a 16.0. I should have been a diabetic coma. That's not what you want to have. Other thing I want you to think about, imagine this. If your glucose levels, the amount of sugar that's in the blood is 3, 4, and 500 and higher, I want you to think of it as syrup, the thickness of syrup. And as the blood levels get higher, the number get higher, the thicker the blood is, and that blood is going through your veins. It's like honey at that point. It's so thick, and it's going through your heart, it's going through your liver, it's going through your kidneys, it's going through your brain, it's going through your eyes. So it cannot help but to have havoc on the body with the blood levels are that high. So that's why I wanted to come on and talk about this diabetes. And we'll be talking about it throughout the month, but we're going to be giving you tips and techniques and strategies that you can use in order for you to take control if you don't have control, to establish it and maintain it, or those who already have control over it, then ask questions so that we will know exactly if there's a situation you want to talk about or need additional information on. Let us be able to help you continue to do what you're doing. And if you're ready to come on and be a part of this conversation, let me know. Reach out to Maxine at levelistco.com and let me bring you on and be one of the guest panels before we end the month of November talking about diabetes. I do have a young lady that's going to be coming on next week, and she's going to be talking about vegan become, you don't have to become a vegan, but what about vegan cooking? I had thought about it, like, can I give up meat? But there's ways. Do you have to always give it all the meat up? Not necessarily, but maybe out of the day, maybe you only have it once. You don't have to have it at every meal. So those are modifications you can live with. A lifestyle change is a change that you can live with, and you don't do it this week, and then you never go back to it for another 2 years. It's something that you have to take into consideration, and you're living it as you are moving forward in your life every day. So back in 2016, I lost over 80 pounds by modifying the way that I ate and drinking the water, giving up the sodas, giving up juice, giving up pop, eliminate a lot of sugar from my diet, a lot of the white flour from the diet, a lot of gluten from my diet, because I had to eat from my body. My body does not like gluten. So you might be the one that can have it. I know I could not. Gluten caused, get this, my pancreas to stop producing insulin. Corn does the same thing for my body. Once I understood that and learned that, then I know I had to eliminate that out of the foods, my food choices. Out of my food choices. There are other things I can have. There's brown rice, cakes that I can have. I don't have to have the gluten. And the sugar, I look for raw sugar, I look for organic sugar, but guess what? It's super sweet. So you don't have to have nearly as much if you decide to use some of that. Do I use it every day? No. Do I use it often? No. Do I use it in moderation? Yes. So these are the lifestyle changes that you must make. I don't use the word diet. I don't go on a diet. When I did go on a diet, I never stuck with it. I would stick with it for 1 or 2 weeks, and it's like, forget that. I have to give up too much. So now, what I learned to do is to take the foods that I enjoy having and I modify the ingredients so I can still have them, and it does not have havoc on my body. So that's why I say you know your body and you eat for your body. And what everybody else is doing, if it's a fad, it might not work for you. You have to understand what works for your body. And it'll tell you when you start gaining weight in these 1 or 2, 3 days, and like, what happened? Where did this come from? Go back and look at that food journal, and that will give you an indication as to what your body did not like and it stored it as fat. Other thing I want you to think about, elimination. Eliminating the waste products from your body. Detox. There's some awesome ways to detox, and you can detox by natural foods. Just by natural foods. Prunes help you. Your apples help you. Eating your raw vegetables, your green leafy vegetables, that helps for, the fiber to eliminate. So you want to make sure that you're able to eliminate the waste products from the body, because guess what? You might not have eaten to gain weight, but the waste products, the waste is sitting in your body is going to convert to fat if you do not allow it to be eliminated. I know, I know. I had to learn all of this. The doctors don't tell us this. These are things that we must learn and share with each other. All right, let me see if I have any questions. Any questions? Elizabeth, any advice? Angelique, come on now. I got a medical professional on here. I got a cook on here. And then I have my Janet on here, which she and her husband has put all of these great things into place. And it has worked for them. Listen, Janet, I want you to send me a picture of you and your husband so I can post it. I want to post it with your story. I think that would be awesome. All right. The other thing that I had to learn to do, I had to prepare meals. I had to prepare snacks. And I cannot always eat when I go to restaurants because I have to watch what's in. Sadly, my baby sister is going blind. Oh, due to neglecting her type 1 diabetes. Oh my gracious. And she's only 34. That's why it's important that we talk about this information, that we share it, because it's real. It's real. And you're not alone. I'm not alone just because I have type 2. I'm not am I ashamed to have type 2? Well, no, because I didn't realize it was happening, but now that it's there, I can do something about it. I don't have to continue to let it go. Getting the proper amount of rest is very important factor. Oh my gracious, yes. Rest has havoc on stress, and it can, and weight gain. Believe it or not, if you do not get enough sleep, the body will start gaining weight. And I mean, there's a lot of studies out here that have shown that. So rest is important. I know they want to say get 7 to 8 hours of rest per night. That would be good if we all could, but that's not going to happen. So what we need to do is, we might not be able to get it every night, but we need to make sure we carve some time out during the week that we can get proper rest. Other thing about rest, some individuals like the TV being on when they go to sleep. Getting the proper rest is a very important factor. That's right. So when you have that TV on, you have light in the room. The body needs a proper amount of rest, 7 to 8 hours, for the cells to regenerate themselves. Notice when you get sick, what happens? The body automatically says, I need rest, and I'm going to put you to sleep. And when you go to sleep, that's when the body is regenerating itself. It has an opportunity for the cells to start repairing themselves. But if you're not giving it enough rest, and you're not giving it the nutrients, and you're not taking the necessary medications for it, then that illness, once it's over, can reoccur very fast. So that's something else to take into consideration. Yeah. Let's see what else I was talking about. That's the rest part. And snacks. Prepare snacks ahead of time. If there are apples, if there are celery sticks, whatever it is, if they need to be refrigerated, put it in your little baggies, or put it in a glass jar or a glass container, put it in a refrigerator, and easily to grab when you're hungry and on the run. You can put some in a baggie and take them with you. Do the same thing with nuts. Do your mixed nuts. Now, a lot of individuals like to use raisins. I'm not going to say don't use raisins, but I'm just going to say use them in moderation, because raisins is still sugar, it's dried fruit. And pay attention to the ingredients on the box of everything that you're going to be using to find out, did they put additional sugar in it? And was it the artificial sugar? TV is, oh, that's what I was going to talk about, having a TV on. TV is not good because the brain will react to the noise while you're sleeping. And not only that, it's light in the room. And the serotonin in the body does not have an opportunity to come down and put you into that deep sleep, that restful sleep, that sleep that you're going to need in order for the body to regenerate itself. So that's what I was going to talk about when it comes to the light in the room. I'm not saying you have to sleep in a dark room, but the body loves it. The other thing is that turn the computer off, turn the telephone off. Don't have either one of them close to your bed. Have them 6 to 8 feet away from your bed. Also, if you are looking at the computer or looking at the TV or looking at the telephone and texting and all of that, it's still light. The light in your eyes, and it goes to the brain, and the serotonin does not have an opportunity to come down, which is to me put you into that deep sleep. So you want to make sure that you have 2 hours away from any of the devices in order for your body to go into that deep sleep. I call it serotonin totem in order to come down. I might not be pronouncing it right, but I think you get the gist of it. So we talked about elimination. We talked about eating fruits and vegetables, 4 or 5 fruits a day. Oatmeal is good in the morning, but be careful with oatmeal because some people can't tolerate oatmeal. And you need to know if your body can tolerate oatmeal or not. Because if you eat oatmeal every single day and your body is not tolerating it, which means your kidneys is not flushing out enough, then you have what is built up of called uric acid. And that uric acid can then have a havoc effect on your joints. And before you know it, you have that, put you in the mind of gout. All right. And so juicing. Oh my goodness. I can't wait to Miss Moore comes on. The vegan lady is going to be talking about juicing and how you take the pulp of the fruit that or the vegetables and the fruits that you're going to be using, and how you can use them for other things like in breads and in soups and in smoothies. And so, therefore, you don't really waste any part of the fruit or the vegetable. After you get the juice out of it, you use it for something else, and then that way it make a thickening or a soup, like I said. And before you know it, is you're almost vegan, but you don't have to be vegan. But at least you have a new way of preparing foods and a different taste. And use spices. Oh my gracious, spices can add so much flavor to your food. I mean, I had to end up starting, not eliminating, but watching how much vitamin K I was taking into my body, because vitamin K what cause clotting. And so I had to watch that. And in doing that, I would maybe eliminate so much spinach and kale, but modify it. But I would add to my eggs, I would have my red peppers, my yellow peppers, my orange peppers, and then I would add some onion to it. And onion is a natural blood thinner. Garlic is a natural blood thinner. So there's things that you can do, but you have to be careful so you don't thin the blood too much. So see, there's everything you have to do in moderation. When I start talking about diabetes, I want you to think about if you are, a type 2, be sure to make sure that you are taking your blood glucose readings often. Since I am not on any medication for diabetes, I take my readings at least 4 times a day. And that's because I'm aware as to where I am and what the impact the foods that I've eaten that is having on the body. And so have these conversations with your doctor. Make sure that you get your blood checked. And also they have different types of kits. So make sure you have that kind of conversation with your doctor as well. I know sometimes type 1 diabetes have the pump, the insulin pump. So have that type of conversation with the doctor. All this modification out here, there's so many things that we can do in order for us to take control and improve how we're living with diabetes, or how we're living with any situation, or how we're making a lifestyle changes. Because I know some concentrate on, the cancer, you got leukemia, you've got the kidney problems, you got diabetes. So there's all different type of ailments out here. But guess what? Eating and having a great lifestyle and the way we eat can improve no matter what illness that we have. It can help improve it. And if we take control of it now, then we can head off any other complications. And so keep a diary. Keep a diary not only on the foods that you're eating, but also keep a diary on the symptoms, what you're experiencing. When did you experience it? How often did you experience it? When did it happen? And write down so that when you're talking to the doctor, that you're talking from data. You're talking from data. The doctor is going to listen to what you tell them, and they're going to evaluate or diagnose what you've told them. So that's why don't say, oh, I think it was 2 months ago. No, write down the date that it started, and that way you can tell the doctor. I mean, I take my high blood pressure reading every morning so that I can tell the doctor what it is. I take my high blood pressure medicine at night, because if a stroke is going to happen, I'm told that it's going to happen most likely at night. So if we're under a lot of stress during the day and we're trying to relax at night and you're already taking high blood pressure medicine, then talk to your doctor if that's something that you need to do. Do you need to switch the time of day that you're taking it? Now, it's working. My doctor's instructed me to do it at night, but your doctor might instruct you to do it differently. Now, just know I am not a doctor. I do not profess to be a doctor. I am sharing with you what has worked for me, what has worked for the people that I know, what has worked for my family. And so I always say, before you make a lifestyle change, talk to your doctor, have that conversation with them so that they'll know what it is that you're going to do. And that way, but again, be an advocate for your body. Know your body type and what works best. One thing that I love doing when I started trying to modify how I was going to eat, I literally sat down and I wrote out my recipes. And I looked at those recipes and I said, what exchange can I have in place of, like, for instance, white flour? What can I use instead of white flour? Because that's what? That's gluten. Wheat flour, that's gluten. It's all still wheat. And so I had to come up with what type of flour I was going to use. Now they have all type of flours. They have the rice flour. They have the coconut flour. They have the almond meal flour. So they have a lot of different types of flours that you can try. Same thing with pancakes. I like pancakes, but I could not use wheat flour or white flour. So I had to modify and use other ingredients. We're going to be talking about how do you do some of those exchanges for the ingredients, but we can't all do it in one show and it'll be too much. When you go to the doctor, I want you to ask the doctor to make sure that they have done an A1C so that you know what your reading is for your average glucose reading in a 2 to 3 month period. What is your high blood pressure? What is your cholesterol level? And you got good cholesterol, your HDL and your LDL. And with the LDL, there's a level 2 to the LDL, and ask them for that reading as well. And then what is your vitamin D, your calcium level, and your magnesium level? Vitamin D and magnesium plays a very important role when it comes to the heart. So make sure that you understand that. Move. There's so many different ways to move. I like to dance. So we're gonna have a little dance on one of the shows. So everybody can be showing what you're doing, what music that you're playing, and what moves that you're doing. You can walk. Some do the brisk walking. Some do jogging, and then some do. You might do gardening. So start getting ready to share this information with us so that we can share with each other and we can continue to live these healthy lives. Start late, so have the full hour. Still have 14 minutes. Okay. All right. So when we get ready to do the exercises, we'll do it for the entire hour and we won't mix too much talking in it, but we'll start giving you tips and techniques. Okay. Okay. I got it. All right. See, Maxine, that can be the book you write. That's right. A booklet with spaces for food journaling, medication, and taking the word of comfort on a daily basis. Let me tell you what, you must meditate. Find time. I call it the ME, capital M, capital E, ME time. And that's me time. I want you to carve out no more than 15 minutes a day for yourself. And even if you have to do it 5 minute increments, I want you to take those 5 minutes. If your 15 minutes is sitting in the bathroom by yourself, then do that. If the 15 minutes is being in the bathtub with candlelight, the lights off, then do that. But you need 15 minutes of meditation. And usually, about 2 years ago, when I started my podcast, I would start out with medication so that we can then center ourselves because it's important that we calm ourselves down from a busy day and then we can take in what the universe is offering to us. So, meditation is so critical. Well, Elizabeth, I need to make sure that I copied what you just said because I need to take that and hey, I receive it. I receive it. Live life to the fullest. I want you to be happy. I want you to laugh often. I want you to share with others. Tomorrow is not promised, so we must live for today. And we must also know where we are headed. So put a strategy in place for yourself, set goals for yourself, write them down. I never will forget when I was a young girl, about 8 or 9, I would write my goals down in life, period. And I would tuck them in the back of my Bible. And every so often, I would go to the back of that Bible and I would pull those goals out and I would look at them. Lo and behold, I would have accomplished those goals. It started putting a precedent in place for me that if I wrote my goals, it became a reality. I started working those goals, and those goals became my strategy. And to this day, I still strategize. Only now I have an opportunity to help the world. This airs to 122 countries. It's on Roku. It's on podtv.tv. So when you all come to this life strategy show, there's so many people that are gleaming the platinum nuggets that you're sharing. So that's why I encourage you to share the things that you're doing. It's not just for me, but it's for individuals who are sitting there watching this, thinking that no one is going through it but them. And that's not true. We're all in this together. And it's a better world the more we share. So our legacy lives on. Nothing that we have we can literally take with us once we leave this earth. But everything we have when we start sharing it, it continues to live on in other people. So with life strategies and levelers is about transforming generations and leaving legacies. I am so thankful and I'm so pleased to be able to have this platform to be able to share with the world the platinum strategies, the wisdom not only from what I bring, but also from what you offer. That's why I love for it to be interactive, for us to engage, for you all to engage in the conversation, because no one person knows it all, but collectively we can help each other move forward, and we can move forward with momentum because we're lifting each other up as we take that step. We don't have to take this journey by ourselves in life. I love the book that was called Purpose Driven, Driven Purpose, right? I love that. Having a purpose driven life is so important. And when you know what direction you're headed, you put a strategy in place, then you can start moving it, working it, and you continue to succeed and be successful. So, in my closing, I would say I have diabetes, but diabetes does not have me. And those of you out there, if you're living with diabetes, I want you to repeat that with me. I have diabetes, but diabetes does not have me. Say that and believe it, receive it, accept it, take control, and continue to share what you're doing, and that will help others. You're not in it alone. So just know that. I am Maxine Pearl Phillips McKoy, the Life Strategist Show, talking about month of November, diabetes. Listen, we can take control and we can move forward. I have truly enjoyed being able to talk about this situation. It can be a silent killer, but we refuse to let it be a silent killer. If you have not as of yet, go and vote. Yes, your vote matters. And believe it or not, I talked about that at the beginning of the hour. I want to make sure that you vote because listen, it took a legislation in order for diabetes to be considered a part of what? A disability. So if you don't vote, then your voice is not being heard and your voice needs to be heard. You have a right and this is your right. So exercise it. Go out, vote. I know early voting is over with, but tomorrow the polls open. So take time to go out and exercise your right to vote. I appreciate you watching. Tell others about the show and the upcoming guests that we're going to be having. We're going to be talking about different ways to modify your recipes, and we're going to talk about ways to exercise, and we're also going to be talking about your feet. Because as a diabetic, you need to understand what to look for when it comes to the feet so there's no amputations. All right? So in the meantime, I believe in you and I trust you believe in yourself. So meet me back here next week, same time, same station, 7 o'clock. Hey, tell someone, bring them along with you. Until then, I am Maxine Phillips, Chief Learning Officer of Level Less, a learning-based coaching company that partners with parents to empower teens to create a strategy for succeeding in life. Are you overwhelmed or feel stuck when your teen is undecided about selecting a career path? Our college and career program provides assessments, individualized coaching, and workshops to help teens identify their unique purpose and select a profession that complements their strengths. Call us
a chance.